Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of APL Mystery Reads. My name is Julie. I'm excited to see all of you guys here today. So today's mystery read is probably going to be one that you guys will know from possibly the first word of the story. So it won't be too much of a mystery to you today, but this is a really special book to me and I absolutely just had to share it with all of you guys. So I hope that you guys enjoy today's reading. I'm going to read the first chapter and then I'm going to go back and read the introduction, which normally would be a little bit strange. I'm just going to make sure that we've got voice and everything here. Okay, cool, we have audio. Alright, just like to double check. I've had problems in the past. Anyway, so I'm going to read the first chapter and then I'm going to go back and read the introduction, which isn't normally how we do things, but if I read the introduction first, it would be a dead set giveaway to what we're reading, which, like I said, you'll probably be able to figure out pretty quickly anyway, but I thought that this would just be kind of a fun way to do that. So, alright, without further ado, I give you today's mystery read. So, Chapter 1, The Cyclone. Modern education includes morality. Therefore, a modern child seeks only entertainment in its wonder tales and gladly dispenses with all disagreeable incidents. Having this thought in mind, the story of, go ahead and pop this up, the story of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz was written solely to please children of today. It aspires to being a modernized fairy tale in which much wonderment, joy are retained, and the heartaches and nightmares are left out. L. Frank Baum, Chicago, April 1990. Alright, so I know we already had a guess in the comments, and so yes, Ray, today's book is The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. So I chose this book knowing that you guys would all get it within like the first three words, you know. Cyclone and Dorothy, boom, you've got it. And then you've got Kansas in the first sentence, and then Uncle Henry and Aunt Em. It's all kind of right there in that first sentence of the book. But I just had to read this one today because not only does it fit in perfectly with this year's summer reading theme, which is kind of about fairy tales, but I just really have a special place in my heart for all things Wizard of Oz. So I don't know, for a couple of you guys who saw, I did a story time about dads 2 weeks ago for Father's Day, and I talked about how when I was a little girl, my favorite memory of my dad is that he would read me the Wizard of Oz books. And I say books because hopefully most of you guys know that they are a series. There we go, that's the correct slide. So there are a whole series of Wizard of Oz books. All of them are on Hoopla. I did not list them all because there are so many, but you can actually just get the complete collections on Hoopla, which I thought was really cool, both in audio and in ebook. And my dad used to read these to me growing up, and he actually, and I should have brought him upstairs, he drew this really amazing map of our town. And so when I was in preschool and he would drive me to preschool, we would lift our feet up when we passed by the Deadly Desert. And I would, I would, he was driving, it would duck down when we went past the winged monkeys, and kind of all of these wonderful, fantastic things. I also really like the idea of reading this book because there's, of course, the books themselves are incredibly famous, and the movie is incredibly famous. And they are so completely different that I can't even kind of classify which one is better because they are just like completely different things. You can even get from that very first sentence, or that very first chapter, how they talk about the farmhouse, and it was one room, Dorothy and Em and Uncle Henry were all in this one room farmhouse, as opposed to in the movie, it's this completely adorable little house. And also you can kind of get from that first chapter that Dorothy does not bunk her head. Dorothy does not go into a dream state. Dorothy actually travels to the land of Oz. And in the sequels, she travels back to the land of Oz. So, oh, thank you. I had a little helper. So this is the map I was talking about. I'm trying to get it without the glare. So this is the map that my dad drew for me when I was a little kid, the map of Oz. And so I have it framed in my house because it just has so much sentimental value to me. He drew this himself, and I thought that was so cool. I collect Wizard of Oz memorabilia. I almost did this downstairs next to my huge Wizard of Oz shelf. I collect books, and I have Wizard of Oz Barbie doll. I have all kinds of just miscellaneous sundry. So it's one of those really fun things that people like to buy me for Christmas because they know that I'm always going to love Wizard of Oz stuff. Um, but the books are just so completely different from the movies. So there are three kind of major motion pictures that have been made. Of course, the 1930, whoops, or 49, 39 version with Judy Garland, of course, is the most famous version of The Wizard of Oz. There's also Return to Oz, which was made in the 80s, which, by the way, if you have not seen it, please see. It is completely amazing. There are lunchbox trees, you guys. Lunchbox trees. Trees that grow lunchboxes. I want a lunchbox tree. It's amazing. I want one so bad. She gets ham sandwich, just pulls down ham sandwiches right there. Oh, so good. And then, of course, Oz, the powerful, that had James Franco in it, that came out a couple years ago, and Zach Braff, who did the voice of the monkey. But just kind of like looking at the map here, you know, Ozma of Oz, you don't get that from the Judy Garland version. You do get that in Return to Oz. Same thing with Jack Pumpkinhead is in Return to Oz. And the wooden sawhorse is also in Return to Oz. Of course, you get the Scarecrow and the Tin Man, but like Jin Jar and the Army, you don't get any of that in any of the books. And then Mumby, you only get in Return to Oz. So you can kind of see there's Mumby, and I'll try to. There's Jack Pumpkinhead and the Sawhorse, and whoops, Ozma is up here. So the series are just completely amazing and fantastical, and just like the title of the book say, they're wonderful. I really love the Oz books so much because I love the idea of any book that is like, you know, Harry Potter and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where there is just this completely amazing land full of magic that is just right outside of our reach. You know, you go through a wardrobe, you go up in a cyclone, you use a magic key, you click your heels, and you're in a completely amazing land where magic is real, and there are wonderful adventures and friends to be made. I just love that idea that everything is just slightly out of reach. You know, you walk past an old dusty building not knowing that Diagon Alley is right behind it in the alley. You know, for me, the idea that magic is just right out of reach, just slightly, you know, out of the corner of your eye, is just something beautiful to me. So, of course, L. Frank Baum wrote the entire collection. There are tons and tons and tons of books. I believe and I should have looked this stat up, I apologize. I believe he wrote 16 books in the original series. Of course, tons of people have come back and added on to the series and have continued. And he has a bunch of other books that are on Hoopla. I did not include all of the Oz books on here because it would have taken a while. Like I said, he has all of those collections. You can download them for free off of Hoopla, both in ebook and e-audiobook. You can also get each one of the books individually if you'd rather take them on one at a time. One that I definitely wanted to point out from this is on the left-hand column, The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus. I can remember reading that book with my dad as well. Like, that was just a really great book that he and I read together, and it's kind of all about the idea that, you know, Santa Claus is, of course, very real, and it just tells about his life and how he became Santa Claus and the adventures that he went on in his time period. And there is an animated film of that was made, I want to say in the 80s, because I remember watching it when I was a kid. So I would highly recommend the Wizard of Oz books. They are, contrary to the introduction, they are a little dark. They're a lot darker than the movies kind of portray them to be, with the exception of Return to Oz is kind of dark. But they're just so completely different. I also love The Wizard of Oz because it is so ingrained into our culture today. There's hardly a TV show that in the entire run of the series does not make some sort of a reference to The Wizard of Oz. If you actually pay attention and listen to it, you will find Wizard of Oz references almost everywhere in our culture. Things like, you know, the Scarecrow, or we're not in Kansas anymore, you know, stuff about the shoes, just everywhere. There are so many retellings of The Wizard of Oz. I will only speak about my absolutely personal favorite, which is, of course, Wicked. That is my favorite musical, hands down. It is phenomenally amazing. And I just love the idea of them completely taking The Wizard of Oz and like revamping it and flipping it on its head. And there's this line in Wicked where Elphaba, which is the name of the witch, is talking to Dorothy, and she says something along the lines of, like, who takes shoes from a dead woman? Were you raised in a barn? And it's just completely hysterical and wonderful, and definitely the soundtrack. Oh, the soundtrack is just amazing. Kristen Chenoweth, oh, love her. But The Wizard of Oz is just so ingrained in our culture today. You, like I said, you hear the references everywhere, and pay attention when you're watching TV and you're watching movies, because they will pop up in the kind of the most interesting places, because they're one of those phrases that everybody knows. If you say, we're off to see the wizard, boom, everybody knows what you're talking about. Yellow Brick Road, everybody knows. Emerald City, on and on and on. All of these different things. End of the Rainbow, that is one of my, Somewhere Over the Rainbow is one of my favorite songs, and I know that it really means a lot to a lot of people, and it almost got cut from the movie, which is just horrible to think. Also on Hoopla, I didn't add it to the list because it's not technically, like an Alfred Mom book, but there is a book about the making of The Wizard of Oz that is on Hoopla, and so I would definitely recommend that. I love to watch kind of like documentaries and things like that about the movie, because they are just so completely different that it's hard to even kind of compare them, because I grew up watching the movie and reading the books, so to me it was not like Harry Potter, where we read the book and then we watched the movie, because they're just so intermingled for me that it's not kind of like one versus the other. That being said, there are a lot of really not great renditions of The Wizard of Oz out there, so definitely be careful. More than once I have turned things off. Okay, that is it for today's APL Mystery Read. Make sure you guys turn in on Friday, because we're doing APL reads, and you guys can check that out. And make sure you go to our website, auroralibrary.org, and check out all of our amazing programming. And we're also on YouTube. We have tons of stuff on YouTube, so make sure you guys check that out. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments here, and I'll go back and check them out, and we can talk all things Oz. So have a great day.